Welcome to HouseLux Estate, your go-to channel for all things economics, real estate, and finance. Today we're diving deep into a topic that intertwines history and economics, the impact of war on economies. It's a subject that may seem detached from our everyday lives, but it's more relevant than you may think. Wars, devastating as they are, leave their mark not just on the landscape, but on the economic structure of nations. They can shift power balances, influence trade routes, and alter the course of a country's economic future. Understanding the aftermath of war on economies can provide fascinating insights into how societies rebuild and recover. It's not just about the past, it's about the present and future too. The economic consequences of war can shape policy decisions, influence international relations, and determine the trajectory of global economies. Exciting, isn't it? Delve into the fascinating world of economics with us as we explore the aftermath of wars on economies. No discussion of war's impact on economies can start without mentioning World War II. This global conflict, which ravaged nations and displaced millions, had profound and lasting economic implications. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, much of Europe lay in ruins. The economies of the continent were decimated, infrastructure was destroyed, and its people faced a long road to recovery. Enter the Marshall Plan, an ambitious initiative by the United States to help rebuild the war-torn regions of Europe. Over a period of 4 years, from 1948 to 1952, the United States funneled the equivalent of over $100 billion in today's currency into Europe. This massive injection of funds jump-started the European economies, leading to a period of unprecedented growth and prosperity. But the Marshall Plan did more than just rebuild Europe. It also cemented the United States' position as a global superpower. America's industrial sector, which had been ramped up during the war to produce military equipment, was now used to support the reconstruction effort. The result was a booming post-war economy, with the United States emerging as the world's leading industrial power and creditor nation. The war also led to a shift in the global economic order. Prior to World War II, the British pound sterling was the world's dominant reserve currency. However, the financial strain of the war weakened Britain's economy, and the United States dollar took its place as the world's leading currency. This transition solidified America's economic dominance in the second half of the 20th century. World War II also sparked technological and scientific advancements that spurred economic growth. The war necessitated innovation, leading to breakthroughs in areas such as nuclear energy, electronics, and synthetic materials. These developments opened up new industries and created jobs, contributing to economic prosperity in the post-war era. The aftermath of World War II shaped the economic landscape of the 20th century in ways that continue to affect us today. The war's impact on global economies serves as a stark reminder of how conflict can bring about significant economic changes, for better or for worse. From the ashes of war can rise economic miracles, as seen in the case of South Korea. The Korean War, which raged from 1950 to 1953, left the country in ruins. The economy was decimated, infrastructure was destroyed, and the human toll was immense. It was a country on its knees, struggling for survival. Yet it was in these dire circumstances that the seeds of an economic miracle were sown. South Korea, with its back against the wall, set about rebuilding its economy from the ground up. The government focused on creating a strong, export-driven economy, investing heavily in education and infrastructure, and fostering the growth of conglomerates known as chaebols, such as Samsung and Hyundai. The investments paid off. In the 1960s, South Korea's economy started to grow at a rapid pace, a phenomenon often referred to as the miracle on the Han River. This was no small feat. The country was transforming itself from an agricultural society into an industrial powerhouse, a transition that took many Western countries centuries to achieve. By the 1980s, South Korea had become one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. The country was exporting a wide range of goods, from cars to electronics, and its citizens were enjoying a higher standard of living. The transformation was so remarkable that South Korea is now considered one of the 4 Asian tigers, a group of high-growth economies in East Asia. Yet the miracle was not without its challenges. The rapid industrialization led to a sharp increase in income inequality and environmental degradation. But despite these issues, South Korea's economic transformation stands as a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of its people. The story of South Korea shows how a war-torn nation can transform itself into a global economic powerhouse. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always a glimmer of hope. And sometimes, that glimmer can turn into a dazzling economic miracle. The impact of war on economies is not always positive. Let's turn our attention to the Middle East. As we delve into the Gulf War, which spanned from August 1990 to February 1991, we find a striking example of how war can devastate an economy. Iraq and Kuwait, two countries at the epicenter of this conflict, experienced profound economic repercussions. The Gulf War resulted in the extensive destruction of infrastructure across both nations. Bombings obliterated roads, bridges, power plants, water treatment facilities, and communication networks. These critical systems underpin any functioning economy, facilitating the movement of goods, services, and information. Their destruction crippled economic activities, leading to a sharp decline in productivity and output. The cost of rebuilding this infrastructure was astronomical. Iraq in particular had to divert substantial resources from other sectors to fund these efforts. This diversion of funds resulted in a significant economic contraction and exacerbated the country's debt crisis. The war also had a profound impact on the oil industry, a backbone of the Middle Eastern economy. The Gulf region houses some of the world's largest oil reserves. During the war, oil fields were set ablaze, causing a significant drop in production. This, coupled with the disruption of shipping routes, led to skyrocketing oil prices worldwide. While this may have benefited oil-producing countries not directly involved in the conflict, it further strained the economies of Iraq and Kuwait. Furthermore, the war led to a significant drop in foreign investment. The instability and unpredictability associated with the conflict deterred investors, causing a capital flight which further hampered economic recovery. In the aftermath of the war, both Iraq and Kuwait grappled with high unemployment rates, rampant inflation, and a steep decline in living standards. These economic hardships continue to resonate today, over 3 decades later. The Gulf War serves as a stark reminder that the economic consequences of war can be severe and long-lasting. The ripple effects continue to shape the economies of the Middle East, underscoring the importance of peace and stability for economic prosperity. In this brief journey through history, we've seen how war can both devastate and stimulate economies. It's a complex interplay of destruction and growth, despair and hope, loss and gain. Let's take a moment to reflect on the key points we've discussed. We learned that World War II, despite its vast destruction, also served as an economic catalyst for many countries. The war spurred technological advancements, increased production, and led to the creation of jobs, turning the tide of the Great Depression. Next, we explored the miracle on the Han River, a testament to the resilience and determination of the South Korean people. Despite the severe destruction wrought by the Korean War, South Korea was able to transform its economy from one of the poorest in the world to one of the most vibrant and dynamic. This economic miracle was fueled by factors such as government-led industrial policies, export-oriented strategies, and the indomitable spirit of the South Korean people. Then we turned our gaze to the Middle East, focusing on the economic impact of the Gulf War. We saw that while some economies like Kuwait were severely affected, others, such as the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, saw significant economic growth due to increased oil prices and production. These case studies underscore the fact that the economic aftermath of war is not uniform. It varies greatly depending on a multitude of factors, including the nature of the conflict, the involved parties, the geographical location, and the prevailing global economic conditions, among others. In essence, wars can indeed lead to economic destruction, but they can also paradoxically pave the way for economic growth and development. Each war leaves behind a unique economic legacy that continues to shape the affected nations for years, even decades after the guns have fallen silent. As we've seen, the aftermath of war can shape a nation's economy for decades to come. Thank you for joining us on House Lux's Estate. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content.